Voices drift on winds untamed, words like spells that can't be named. Close your eyes and feel the sound. Journey where no bounds are found. Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align. In the meta mysteries you'll find.
Welcome to Meta Mysteries, where you don't know what you don't know. My name's Jonathan.
I'm Sean.
And tonight is Wonder Wednesday, baby. It is the live show here for Meta Mysteries time. And tonight, of course, we had to bring back our boy Banks. Welcome back, Optimistic Banks, my good sir.
Yes, sir. Good to be here. You guys have been posting some really cool, fun, interesting, esoteric witchery stuff. And I've been having so much fun following you guys along here.
Hey,
we
dude.
appreciate that, man.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we're just trying to get at the core. What is the underlying tone to all of this stuff? And it is making so much more sense. And I got to say, ever since you've come on to this show and you've explained the world a little bit differently, things just seem to click into place a little bit easier now, you know?
Yeah.
It's great. So anyhow, welcome to the live show, everybody. It's going to be a fun night tonight, I'm sure. We're going to be bouncing all over the place. For anybody that wants to be able to join us on every other live show moving forward, it's every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Central, and we call it Wonder Wednesday. But if you want to be a part of that, then just go to patreon.com/metamysteries. That link is down in the show notes below, and sign up for the Wonder Wednesday tier or higher, and you'll have access not only to being able to join us every Wednesday night, but you'll be able to watch every show on the video, completely commercial free. You'll be able to slide into our DMs and all of the good things. You'll actually be able to be a part of the show. And so we appreciate everybody that has been doing so already. But yeah, I mean, we've been having some awesome shows here lately, dude. And dude,
Yeah.
just the other night we had Lord Byron on the show and
Oh my God.
Eric Quetting on the show. I mean, dude, I'm talking about like
Literally
literally wrote
dude.
I know.
wrote books on magic.
It's really fun seeing not only your guys' podcast, but all the other podcasters too, that we're all kind of connecting and like seeing, I've been on podcasts where Robert Grant's been on and like, the Forbidden Knowledge, Billy Carson, all those guys. And it's like, we're all kind of starting to spin around the same circle now, guys. Well done.
Oh, for sure, dude. Yeah, it's interesting how that works out, right? You start looking into something, and then your tribe kind of just appears.
Yeah,
you know?
I think it was Jung who said, Carl Jung, psychologist, who said when you do work on yourself consciously, inevitably like unknown allies will begin to appear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah,
there's some magic to that for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah, there's something about just making conscious decisions, that it completely changes your life. Instead of just accepting everything that's right in front of you the way it is. Nothing wrong with that either. But just
but it's taking back the creative force of your life rather than reality happening to you. Now it's happening from you, right? And it's that creative force of intention and action and that continuation,
Oh, dude.
And it's so interesting too. Like, even though we've been covering these things, and I feel like I've got a pretty good understanding of what's possible as far as transmuting a situation or just, changing my mindset just enough to go through a situation and, with at least the most ease as possible. And then still have those days where it's like, today sucks, like it
that's
just
the
is what it
beauty
is.
of the yin and the yang, man, is like, no
Right.
matter, you will never find the one and only answer, because guess what? Everything has to have its opposite.
Yeah, dude. And I feel like when that happens, it's like, okay, there's something I needed to learn here, obviously, because I didn't understand that aspect of it. Otherwise I would have been able to just transmute it and whatever,
Yeah, it's a big part of the letting go process, right? Is just accepting that
but
that existence is a paradox. Yes,
Yeah.
it is an illusion. It is real. Yes.
mm-hmm.
Oh,
Joke's
dude.
on you.
Big time.
And you need the downtime to be able to really fully thrust yourself into the go time. Like there's been times where whether if I'm on a diet, or if I'm really on my shit as far as staying up with the shows and guests, and really trying to hammer out as much information as we possibly can, and really try and understand as much as we can. And I feel like, there's always going to be peaks and valleys to every single thing. Like there's
Sure.
there's always going to be the highs and the lows, and the level of excitement, even it fluctuates. But
Yeah.
man, it's just, once you kind of get on this track of trying to understand it all, dude, the highs are it's like higher highs all the time.
Well, there's like another level to it, right? Where it's like, oh my God, there's so much to know. So I'll never really understand it. But at the same time, there's so little to know because I'm everything. And it's like the difference between like um writing the illusion, experiencing the illusion versus trying to study the illusion, right?
Mhm.
Because that's almost folly. That's almost because anything you study, you will find an infinite wormhole,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? So it's like, just have fun.
Yep.
You may as well.
Exactly.
And I do
Yeah.
feel like there's some underlying, like, every single thing that we've uncovered, we've been able to look at it through a specific lens in which it all makes sense if you look at it through a certain lens. So for example,
Yeah.
like we've looked at things through a pantheistic view. And that applies to just about everything. And I don't even know where it doesn't apply, to be honest with you. Like, with if everything is everything, and this is how magic works, and this is how witchcraft works, and this is how religion works, and
Yes.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Absolutely.
you can apply yourself in that sense. And so just the other night, we had the magician guy along with Lord Byron on the show the other night. And this guy, he's like super famous within magic. His name is Eric Coetting, and very fascinating individual. I think he said he wrote over 30 books on magic, which is crazy, right? And
Very knowledgeable.
dude, he said during one of his, if it wasn't his first, it was one of his first rituals that he had ever done. He said that he was calling upon, I don't know, some demon that he was working with. I can't remember what
I
his name
forget.
was.
Mhm.
King Paimon. Damn, I don't know where that just came from.
Dang. Good shit.
But he was working with this deity named King Paimon or whatever. And so he did the whole ritual, he did the circle, and then, the star, and lighting the candle, and whatever he was doing, right? And he said that the demon appeared, and it almost like frightened him a little bit, because he was like, wow, I didn't think that was going to work that way or whatever,
Yeah.
right? Almost frightened him a little bit. And the demon asked him what his name was. And he goes, my name is Yode Vave. And dude, the demon responded as if he was God. And I was like, oh my God, this is pantheism all over the fucking place right now,
Wow,
isn't it?
very interesting. I actually really like that take.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I was actually recently doing some energy work with somebody, activating their sacral chakra, and I got a download that we were going to channel the tiger spirit animal within them. And then, like, I was like doing all this crazy energy work and like Reiki work. It was all virtual, right? And then I was like lighting these incense, and then my smoke alarm went off, which it never does. And it was like all this, and it happened just at the moment where I said, we're calling upon the flame of the tiger. Then my smoke alarm went off. And then, like, the rage of the tiger manifested into my roommate,
Holy
who
shit.
like came at me with like a rage. And I was just like, and I just kind of witnessed it all and let it all kind of like settle. And I was just like, whoa, like that really just fucking happened right now.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was really
dude.
cool.
Wow, channeling that spirit of fire in your smoke detector is like, hey, what's going on here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a
Dude,
trip.
that is kind of crazy. And what's funny is that kind of like a Chinese astrology kind of situation? Is that what y'all were doing?
No, I mean, I was just doing a lot of the energy work that I do is in like kind of like visualizing and Reiki work and helping people kind of visualize the energy moving through their body. And a lot of times when I do that, it appears to me as animals that move the energy. Sometimes, not all the time. I never know like how it comes into me. Sometimes I see dragons doing like a kundalini kind of a thing. And then this one, it was just when I had my eyes closed, very vivid, a tiger came in And so I was doing a ritual of like, okay, we're going to call upon your tiger. Imagine yourself walking in a forest and the tiger comes up to you. You're not afraid of it. You're walking side by side with it. We're like doing all these kind of like visualization things as I'm like, moving around the energy and doing Reiki and lighting incense. And it was all just like exploded.
That's awesome, dude.
Wow.
Yeah.
That energy was just built up into that room at that point.
Yeah.
Dude, I believe that has to be a real thing, right? Like if we are, part of the all, right?
Yeah.
Then, and if the all created everything, then that magic or power or energy or whatever definitely would have to reside within us.
Yep.
And if all we are is essentially like, just like, I don't know, look at us maybe like we're these magic crystals in a sense. But we have the ability to speak, or we have the ability to manifest by speaking at that point.
Yes.
And we're just like these power or frequency generators that it's so interesting to look at it through that lens, because I think that if you're doing that, it's almost like you start to slow down every time you come to speak it, because you realize the power of your
Yes.
words in that sense, and of your thoughts too, I think.
Yeah, and that's you start to realize why like the Eastern monks, they take a lot of them take vows of silence or they're just very quiet. And it's not just because they're like, I don't want to say anything. It's because they know how powerful their words are, especially to people coming to them to seek spiritual help, right? So they're like very careful about each word that they speak, and they'll really think about it before they speak it and all these kind of things.
Oh, dude, if and we've talked about Pythagoras. He used to have like this number cult, right? And in order to get into his cult, you had to go 7 years without saying a word. That was just to be initiated. 7 years of not saying anything.
Wow.
Dude, there's some power there, man. When you sit in silence, I think that's when a lot of the mystical things start to happen, when you really quiet everything down, dude. I mean, that's why we meditate every episode, because there is definitely some significance to being able to channel all that is you into one idea or one thought, and kind of let see where that goes.
Yeah, that's the purpose of the dark night of the soul, right? Like why we all kind of have to like, regress, kind of like go into a cave, go into a cocoon, because, we grew up in a world where everybody's telling us who we are, which is like really influencing who we think we are. So we have to kind of like go off by ourselves, off into the forest, off into our room, wherever it might be, to kind of only listen to myself and remember who I am.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's a real thing, man. It really is.
Yeah.
So Super Marky said something interesting. First off, said, "What up, everyone? Thank you guys for coming and hanging out with us tonight. This is one of the biggest crowds we've had for the show. So thank you guys for coming.
I needed this tonight. After a day like today. I really needed tonight. The Wonder Wednesday, dude.
Oh, dude, same. We went to go eat some Chinese buffet earlier, and
channeling
really,
their tiger or what?
it put me into the hibernating tiger kind of scent. But yeah, we went home. We took like a 2.5 hour nap and woke up like 20 minutes before the show. I was like, holy shit, I'm happy. Like, I don't know how I just woke up, because that was perfect timing. I probably could have slept all through the night, but yeah. Anyway, Marky said, what is the flame of the tiger? Very interested, as I do Reiki as well. I'm a fire tiger in Chinese astrology.
Oh, interesting. So, I mean, I wasn't using traditional Reiki. I mean, I am a level 3, master Reiki practitioner. I don't use traditional Reiki. I mean, I do a little, chalk today, that kind of stuff. And, but like, I was working with the sacral chakra, right? Which is the orange chakra, which is, I'm assuming, why the tiger came to me, right? And I just do a lot of, kind of how I see the world is, how inside out, right? Like, why is the tiger orange? Why does it have 2 eyes? Why does it walk this way? Like, and it's all a representation of how it manifested into existence. And that's what they represent, essentially, right? So like a tiger is kind of like a sensual being, which is also sacral chakra, sensuality. They are very creative. They're loners, all these kind of things. So the flame of the dragon, I guess, I was just channeling, bro, and it just came to me. And when I'm doing that, I kind of just let it flow. You know what I mean?
Don't resist it, man.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I was just looking up how people are able to calculate like and we've done a show on Chinese astrology and stuff like that. But their New Year starts on is it the first full moon of the year? Because it's based upon the Chinese lunar calendar. So
Yeah,
that's
I'm a water dragon.
yeah, I'm a golden horse. I just just found that one out. But so Sean, just out of curiosity, so you would be
I thought
where
it was the
that?
rabbit, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
You were born in 87?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you would be a rabbit, and I'm trying to figure out which, if you were fire or metal or something like that. But anyway, oh, so you're a rabbit, you said? Here we go. So the rabbit of 1987 would be a fire rabbit.
Hey, all right, I'll take it.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
All right. So yeah, anybody else is interested, we can look that up too. It's pretty cool looking at it. Especially
It is, man, and you can pull information from all that stuff. Like, again, like I've always said, like being a mystic, I really believe in, taking what resonates and leaving the rest, not judging anything, not being like, oh, I'm not gonna learn anything from this because the rest of it's too weird. Like, nah, like, we can kind of like pick and choose what resonates with us to kind of build our own truth,
Yeah, dude. Yeah, it is
It
pretty
almost makes
sweet.
too much sense, but for some people, that's just crazy, dude. That's crazy.
If people don't know that they're God yet, that's crazy talk.
Right.
God, I love saying that too, because it's almost like some people get a little antsy when you say, "What'd you say?" We're God.
I mean, because we are and we aren't. So I ain't mad at them for getting a little triggered by it. But we are the imaginer and the imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And to make a creation, you have to let go of it. The illusion of letting go of it, right?
Which does make sense too, especially with the like the double slit experiment. Just the fact that just by us looking at photons going through a slit would cause them to react a little bit differently. I mean, does that, I don't know, is that something that God would be able to do just by looking at something, would be able to manipulate the outcome?
I think that's the infinite nature of the holographic universe, right? It's like, so because there's so much infinite free will, it's like if we take that all the way full circle, it's almost like there is no free will. That's where you get back to the yin and yang again, that there is and there isn't, right? Because it's so infinite that within everything infinite, it's perfect still. It's pretty wild.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, it's so wild how I just love learning about all this stuff. As a matter of fact, there was this I made this video the other day for our TikTok or Instagram, and it was about eclectic witchcraft. And just trying to define it so people would understand what it means. I mean, to be honest, and to be fair, we didn't know what it meant before we did that episode on it.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different types of witchcraft. You would never even guess, dude. Like, there are so many different types, And so we were covering it, and we made that video, and somebody was like, but why do you got to put a name on it? And I was like, you don't have to. I mean, I'm just saying that this is, how it is defined. That's all. And then I started.
I guess you just showed that person where they need some healing.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, look, if you want to be like Kevin Gates and say, I know there's a name for it, but I don't know what to call it, that's totally fine too. But it almost reminded me of the term paganism. It kind of bothers me a little bit because it's too much of a catch-all term. You know what I'm saying? It's like
well, yeah, and I think that we've grown up kind of in a Anglo, let's say Christian kind of background of society, right? So it's like when you hear that, we almost naturally get triggered, like, oh, that's like anti-Christian or something, or anti-good or something like that, right?
That's what I'm saying. To all non-Jews, we're all Gentiles, but to be called a Gentile, you're like, wait, I don't want to be called something, a name that you made up for me because I don't apply to your philosophy and your religious thing,
Well, I mean, I think that's why we don't even need to be triggered, because you're listening to somebody call you something that exists only in their worldview and not in yours. And so within your worldview, that's kind of irrelevant.
Yeah, and I
like
think,
when someone thinks you're going to hell. No, I'm not. You know what I mean?
Well, and the more that you awaken, let's say the more you become enlightened, the less opinionated you become. You're just like, okay, cool. Yeah. You're dandy. You are who you are. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
And if you don't love me for who I am, that's cool too. I don't have any opinions about it.
Yeah, what I do usually is, if someone's talking to me about, what they believe in, I just tell them they're right. Like, yeah, you're probably, I
Well,
believe
yeah,
you,
that's
like,
that's like the real job of the mystic, right? Is to become like a window or a mirror, just to kind of,
right.
right, like
Yeah.
really help them see what they're creating, because
Hmm.
because it's them too, you know.
Well,
That's it.
and that's something that we found out too. It's like if you go around and tell everybody what you are, they're going to come up with a million ways to tell you why you're not that, and or why you're wrong, or something like that. And I've really gotten into the modality of just like, I'm not trying to preach from the rooftops. All of this stuff about like, what we understand and how we kind of look at the world and stuff like that. I'm almost like if somebody asks, I'll say it, but I'm no longer like trying to convince anybody about it.
Hmm.
And it's almost
Yeah.
like I imagine that's what the ancient mystics probably did too. It
Hmm.
wasn't like going around proselytizing saying you are God, you forgot. I can't believe you
Well,
forgot, but you know what I mean?
I
I
think
imagine they
that's
probably weren't
why
doing that.
I think that's why they would call it like the initiated, because you're not, trying to force somebody to believe that. You are looking for that now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And that's when the information comes, because now you're open to even looking into something other than what you already knew.
Yeah, and I think in ancient times, and we might have touched on this before, but I feel like in ancient times, because they were so much more connected to nature, it was pretty obvious to them that they could kind of go outside and be like, oh, I see the metaphors and everything, right? Like, oh, there's one sun, but there's like infinite plants. And
Hmm.
like they're all growing different ways, but they're all reaching for the same sun.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like what, right? There's kind of a metaphor in there, right? That it's like one thing expressed in infinite ways.
Hmm.
And that kind of stuff. And just I think that the mystics of old, when babies would come into the world, they were like, whoa, you made it. All right, another one of us, another God incarnate. How cool.
Right.
And I
That
think
was,
with
yeah, I was gonna ask you about that actually, because I actually, not to cut you off, but
yeah.
I saw a video of some guy, and it looked like he probably comes from a particular faith, but he's like on his way out, and he was like, when before all of these structured religions came about and all the different, teachings and writings, and what were people believing in, and then I was gonna ask, like, what do you think as far as that goes? Like, is it just deeply ingrained in us to look at something higher than us, or do you think, like you just said, like, we kinda just understood nature, and kinda went
Yeah, I
that
mean,
route?
I think it's both. Like it's the paradox of the yin and the yang. And but also just that, like, okay, let's take it back to like tribalism,
Mhm,
Um, it was very much, I believe, that they look around and they understood that they were the earth,
mhm,
right? That they understood. They looked at their skin and brown skin, brown earth, and they
mhm,
could tell when that they had two eyes and the fox had two eyes, that there was a connection there, right? And there was just kind of, just a very simple understanding of how everything was connected. And they had medicine men, shamans who would have visions and go into the unseen realms, and then they would express that through song and dance and painting, and all of those things basically kept on manifesting outward infinitely in different versions of things. And but that's basically what's still happening now. It's just evolved.
indeed.
Dude, you know what's funny too is speaking of maybe the elders or the shamans or whatever of that of those times, and just understanding how they were able to make certain magical things from regular elements. So for example, I just saw a video of Terrence McKenna, and he was talking about like, what's crazy is that there are two main compounds within ayahuasca. One comes from bark and one comes from something else, and
Mm,
singularly by themselves they are unactivated. Like they do nothing by themselves. But somehow these people knew to combine these two elements, and it would give you a psychedelic run for your life. It's like
mhm.
there would be no reason to combine these two, but where did they come up with the idea to do so?
That wasn't on accident. I
Yeah,
wouldn't
and I
think
believe
so.
that the tribes say that the plants told them.
Mhm.
Yeah, dude. Like what? The plants
Yeah, and
talk to
that's
you?
see, it's funny because I work with a lot of people, and a lot of people have, a fear-based mentality of spiritual stuff. A lot of people are worried of even, doing things with nature, and like, how do you know that, when you do mushrooms, that the mushrooms aren't lying to you, right? Like
Mhm.
things like that. And I'm like, yo, they don't even have that concept.
Right. Right. What would
They
be the
don't
point of
even
that,
know
right?
what lying is. Only
Mhm.
we know what that is. You know what I'm
And
saying?
you know what's
Like,
funny too about that is when someone's lying to you, for the most part, you kinda we're good at that. We're good as human beings, I think we're really good at kinda catching that kind of stuff. But when
yeah,
you're getting messages and you're, uh, uh, getting some type of understanding of something, it just feels true, you
yeah.
know? So, yeah.
Dude, I actually I've really been kind of going and spinning my own mind a little bit just about like aliens and stuff here lately, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And it almost seems like, forget the idea of aliens and maybe let's just look at it like it's just consciousness, right?
Yes.
And because the crazy thing is that I've had some crazy experiences on DMT and mushrooms and 4-ACO DMT and like all these wild things that seem very alien, and it seems like I'm having conversations with something outside of me that is of a higher realm. Let's just say that. And some people might say, well, that was angels, or that was aliens, or that was, what have you? Maybe it was your ancestors or something like that. It's like, man, I don't know. Maybe it's possible that aliens could be coming from another planet. I'm not going to say it's impossible, but I think that it's more than likely that these things are almost just existing interdimensionally. They're existing within the ether. It's just fucking consciousness and information that is out there. It's unseen to our human naked eye. Like, what is your
Yes.
concept and understanding of aliens in general?
I love everything that you just said. Yeah. And that's why it is a projection of consciousness. And that's why the videos are always grainy. They seem to be just out of reach, right?
Mhm.
That's not a coincidence. It's because it is a projection of consciousness, it's how we're perceiving them. And I also like to think of the earth as like, a body and a mind, right? And that like we are part of that. So, these higher beings, let's say, they're almost like the higher understanding of the mind that maybe hasn't really become conscious yet. And so it's like, it's a foreign idea to our mind. So when that is created in a physical reality, our mind will create that feeling in the physical form to make it look strange, look foreign. It's above us, it's just out of reach. It's all kind of like a reflection of like new downloads, new ideas kind of coming into being. That's one way of looking at it. But I think, yeah, I think that generally speaking, people have been seeing aliens since the beginning of time, maybe not in material, but definitely in meditation.
Yeah.
Like 100% meditation, prayer, visions, this kind of stuff, and that, they aren't coming down to us. We are raising up to them, which is why they're becoming more and more material.
Makes
Damn.
sense. Yeah. And we've talked about that with like red shifting and blue shifting, which is essentially raising your vibration, or them lowering their vibration and meeting you in the middle, kind of in that sense. Dude, what's weird is that, we've gone outside and we've seen like wild orbs, bro. Like
Yeah.
things that are not camera flares. I'm talking about like we were able to see these things with our eyes. And we don't know exactly what the hell we're looking at. It almost just looks like these iridescent bubbles, like Glenda the fucking good witch or whatever her name was. It's
Right.
like I don't know what they are, but what do you think that is? Like, have you seen one of these orbs? Like, you go
I
outside.
see him all the time. My friend Sean, Life Path 33, my other buddy Sean, he's an ET soul. And anytime we go out, do psychedelic trips or just, camping trips, or even just out in the middle of Hollywood, he can like point them out and call them in, and they come closer and closer. And I think that, uh that this is in a way kind of like a simulation, kind of like a holographic simulation, so that they render differently as you approach, right? So, like, if you look at the planets, let's say through like a camera at planet Earth, like they'll appear as like orbs of light with like different frequencies. But then
Mhm.
perhaps if we send a satellite out there, as that satellite gets closer and closer, it renders as a physical planet. I think that there's a bit of a video game kind of a thing going on with this as well, you know. Not to say that it all still isn't God, it all still is, and it's a very fun simulation illusion that we're being immersed in.
Dude. Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to figure it all out my damn self, and it does seem like, you know, if you're in that calm or high vibing or meditative state and you go outside, like, dude, if you go outside as soon as you're done meditating and look up at the night sky, you're almost guaranteed to see one.
Oh yeah.
And what's that about? You know, is it because you lifted yourself up vibrationally that allowed these things to be able to become a little bit more visible?
Yeah. Yeah, because I think that they don't communicate with like verbal language the way that we do. So it's almost like as we elevate our consciousness, we're getting to a place where we can communicate. And even if it doesn't seem like you're communicating, you know, it's beyond spoken language. So you are communicating. It might not even be conscious. It might slowly come up later from the subconscious.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
dude.
And just think about, you know, how you feel when you see something like that. Like, it still amazes me to see anything like that. Like, I used to look for these things all the time, like way before we started doing the podcast, and it was more along the lines like, of course there's aliens, you know, like in my mind, of course there's aliens, of course there's, but I think I was thinking more of like the nuts and bolts aspect of it, you
Right.
know, and that they're coming here, and you know, and I never saw anything of interest, any orbs, anything like that. And then we start kind of diving into, you know, what we've been looking into, and all of a sudden things start to happen, you know, and it's like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was at all. And the feeling that you get when you see something like that, where something just gets super bright out of nowhere and then just dims out, or you see a flash of light and it's like, what was that? You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
was definitely not a satellite. It wasn't a star or some you know, I don't know, just a random light in the sky. It was like a intentional almost.
Yeah, and I think that the timing of all this is really perfect, and the way that they are, let's say, kind of exposing themselves to us is really perfect. Because you know what I'm really passionate about is that now that we know, you know, that obviously, let's aliens, interdimensional, higher consciousness beings are real. They visit us. There's advanced technology. Now we know that this is real. You know, we're all starting to comprehend that we've kind of had this lost century of like physical technology advancement. It's all
Mhm.
been kind of a digitized advancement, you know, and that these, you know, the powers that be, private corporations, you know, dark forces, whatever you want to call it, that they got these advanced technologies that could really change the world. That, you know,
Mhm.
free energy, like, you know, airplanes would be obsolete, you know, ending world hunger, like and this is being held back from us. And I think that, you know, them making themselves more and more prevalent is bringing these type of conversations to the forefront, which is we need to bring the power back with that.
Dude,
Mhm.
it's almost like it just reminds me of that Styx song, and I'm a huge Steelers fan, so it's our fight song. But it's like the jig is up. No, the jig is up, the news is out, they finally found me. It almost just reminds me
Yeah.
of something like that's what's going on with the alien kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Because you were saying it is very peculiar timing that it's happening way more now than in our lives, the all the past of our lives, definitely.
Man, as you awaken, the world awakens. It's not a
Mm.
surprise, right? It's like as you like, you know, we grew up watching Ancient Aliens and knowing 9/11 was an inside job and all that kind of crazy conspiracy stuff. But then you have a spiritual awakening and you're like, whoa, it's all connected. Holy
And
shit.
it's so much more than that.
It's
Yeah.
so much more than that. But it
Right.
is, yeah. And then you're like, okay, yes, yes, yes. Now what? Now what can I do?
Mhm.
But it does
That is
seem
a
as you
good
awaken
question.
and as you all these ideas start to form and it's manifesting in reality.
Mhm.
Dude,
Yeah.
you know what though, and we're gonna be having a guy on that's gonna he's gonna be coming on in a couple weeks, and he along with a bunch of people in his crew, they go out to the deserts in Arizona, New Mexico, Nevada, and they do like the CE5 kind of stuff from
Yes,
Stephen
love it.
Greer, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but they are like gung ho for sure that the orbs that you're seeing up in the sky are the tall whites. Right. Then you talk to our boy Electro Nick. Well, they're for sure Pleiadians. And you talk to some other people, they're for sure demonic. And you talk to some other people, they're for sure angels, right? Or put whatever flair you want on it. I mean, I don't know what to do with it or what to call them. Does it even matter what we call them or where they come from? Or
It matters how you feel about it and the energy that you're sending to it, because that's
Mhm.
the timeline that you're going to enter, right?
That's
Damn.
Because
that's the mystery, dude.
all possibilities exist. I know it's crazy. They all exist. You get to choose.
Yeah, it is kind of crazy. It feels like that too, though. You know what I'm saying? Like it
It's
almost
just
feels.
showing you the infinite possibilities. Do you want it to be an angel? Do you want it to be a demon? Do you want it to be a
Mhm.
cool alien you're going to be friends with?
Yep.
Are you so you have so much power in your fear that you want it to be a reptilian? Like, it's whatever you want.
Mhm.
Dude,
Damn.
it does feel like that. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Ever since I did the whole DMT thing, like I'm looking at the world in an entirely different way, and it almost feels like very. I'm not gonna be like one of those people that like. I don't know if it's like the Truman Show kind of thing, but it almost feels like it's for me in a sense. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not
Yes.
saying that it's for me and for
Yes.
nobody else, but I feel like it's for each and every individual.
You as
And
the observer and the projector and recorder of your universe, you are the center because everything is.
Mhm.
well, at that point, it almost becomes like what Bashar amongst any other people have talked about, like with the many worlds interpretation. It's
Yes.
like, are you shifting realities, multiple times a second, or multiple times a minute, dependent upon the energy that you're putting off, and the energy that you're putting off is almost a reflection of it's the environment reflecting it all the way back to you every single time. Like, are you somebody that prescribes to that?
Yeah, I think that is a useful way of looking at it. Again, our puny human minds are trying to comprehend what is actually not really, really meant to be comprehensible. But I think that is a useful way to look at it, and I think that there are that there are infinite timelines, and within every infinite timeline, everything is perfectly set up.
And this is why shifting your attention on something or shifting into a different energy of something, trying to embody a different energy, that's why that works because it's already set up as long as you pay that attention to it.
Yeah, I think that we're the mind experiencing the body, like we're the
Mhm.
awareness experiencing material matter.
Mhm.
Right, almost you could look at it like, like outer space is the mind and earth is the body, or the awareness is the mind, but the phone, the body, the earth, the trees is the body. And so mind over body, right? It's
Mhm.
literally over your body, and it's all being projected from there.
It really does seem like that, dude. Like the more we talk about these different things and start to look at them from all the different angles and stuff like that, it's like, dude, I think we accidentally created a mystery school. You know what I'm
I think
saying?
so.
Like,
I think you're right.
like it really does feel like that. And we always say
Mhm.
we're not the teachers by any means. We're just students that find certain information very interesting, and
Mhm.
looking at it through all the different modalities and through all the different lenses and understanding it through the original lens and then applying our own lens to it. And you know what I mean? Like
Isn't it
it's,
so much fun though to now go back and look at Da Vinci and look at all these different things, and you're like,
bro,
I think I actually know what the fuck what he
bro,
was doing.
the Vitruvian man. I mean, that's all you need to
Yeah,
say right there, just as far as
yeah.
like what he was able to understand as far as the energy centers and the chakra system. And
Masculine
it's
and
like,
feminine energy, all that. I mean, and again, it was like he didn't just hide it so he wouldn't be persecuted. He hid it so that when you're ready, it will present itself. Because how
Mhm.
many times did we look at that and it didn't mean anything to us?
Yep.
We
Yep.
had to get to a certain level to know the secret.
This has been happening to me a lot going back and listening to older songs of just
Yes.
like really good songs. Like I liked the song back in the day just because it sounded good or whatever. But then you listen to the words and you're like, oh shit. Yeah, that's what they're
Yes.
talking about. That's what they were feeling in that moment. They're coming to the understanding of certain things. And you're like,
Hmm.
holy shit.
bro, that's
Yes.
that
Wow.
that's that Clint Eastwood song by the Gorillas. Gets me every time I listen to that. I'm like, holy shit, they were on one back in the 90s. That's crazy.
Well, for me, I grew up listening to Wu Tang. So then when I had my spiritual awakening and realized I was God, and then like went back, listened to Wu-Tang, and like they're always calling each other God. Yo, what up, God? What's today's mathematics, God? I was like, whoa,
Oh shit.
whoa.
Oh man, that is
That's a
freaking
big one
awesome.
for me.
It is cool. It is cool, like seeing it. It's almost like once you become somewhat initiated, you start to see what most people don't. You know?
Yeah, it's the same. It's the same world, a different reality, right?
Mm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's only just grown a little bit. You
Yeah.
know? So I want to get back over to the chat. Pete said, "I'm a monkey, but I don't know the element." Pete, if you would give me the year that you were born, well, the date and the year, because it's not the entire year. It's all dependent upon the lunar calendar and stuff like that. So sometimes it's in January, sometimes it's in February. It gets a little weird. But if you anybody else that is also interested in that, I got it pulled up right here.
The monkey is a super cool animal, though. You should look into the legend of the Monkey King in like ancient Chinese mysticism and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Dude, you know what I find very strange too? Every single zodiac within the Chinese, zodiacal wheel is all like a real animal, but then there's the dragon.
And there's the dragon. That's me. I know. I'm a mythical creature. What can I say?
But do you think that? But do you think
Or
that it
were they
was
real?
That's
No,
what I'm saying.
I think they were real. I think they are real. I think we've shifted our current frequency to a reality where they're not real, but that we could
Right.
shift back, and that that
Oh shit.
physically, where are we? Like we might be getting into some more kind of wild stuff about globe and flat Earth theory and all that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah.
And that that this we're experiencing an electromagnetic frequency that we call Earth, and that
Right.
so it's kind of like how you resonate will be the one that you
You
observe.
exist
Yeah,
in, right?
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Because
Yeah,
you
that's
talk to flat earthers, man, they're absolutely convinced. There's no way to tell
It's
them
both,
otherwise.
though. That's the thing. It
Oh yeah, you
cannot
got
be
me. You got me.
it cannot be observed objectively, people.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not gonna lie, dude. There was a period of my life, as soon as I found flat Earth, I was like, holy shit, how does nobody else see this?
Yeah.
It was like, it blew my mind a little bit. Then I started looking into a little bit more mysticism and energy work and sacred geometry and stuff like that. And you're like, now I kind of come to the conclusion
Well,
of
and
like,
if we are creating our reality, for me, it does seem more fun if there's like outer kind of other worlds to be found and things. I don't know. I think that's kind of fun.
no, I agree.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I've come to like, dude, I think it's a double toroid, bro, on some real shit.
Me too. That's but again, it can't really be observed objectively, but I do feel just as the human being is essentially a toroidal field, like of energy, and how we are shaped and everything. That's
Well, and
Fun.
there's so Electro Nick, along with a couple other listeners, have mentioned that we should watch this TV show called His Dark Materials on HBO, and I've been like binge watching that like crazy lately, and it's basically getting into, because we had the whole demon and daemon kind of conversation. Like,
I saw that. That was
what are
great
the
work, yeah.
etymological roots of the word demon, and way different than
I know.
how we
Such
look at
good
demon
work.
now.
I was so proud of you for putting that out there. That was really, really good work.
Thank you. And so, but it
People
was
need
interesting.
to know.
Yeah.
I know, yeah. It's like, whoa, that's a lie. That's not what they meant. It's like, okay, all right.
You're being deceived right now. Right?
Yeah. And people started telling the truth 2,000 years ago. That's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I've been watching that show, and it is so cool, dude, because it applies the many worlds interpretation in a sense to where it's like, they have their group of rulers. I can't remember what they're called, but it's essentially like their version of the Vatican that is ruling the world. And and if you even mention any other dimensions or any other worlds, that's heresy. How dare you? Right? That we are God's chosen, and they don't call him God; they call him the authority. And dude, it's such a good show. But these people are jumping from dimension to dimension via like these zippers in reality that are opening up, and you can step through and enter another world. And I don't know if it's exactly like that, our reality, maybe it is, but if we're talking about interdimensional shit going on, right, that and it's all entirely dependent upon your energy and your frequency that you're putting off, that allows you to be able to kind of experience different shit, You know, I don't even know
Yeah.
how else to put that, but it's like it allows you to experience something different. So therefore, like if you wake up on the wrong side of the bed, life is going to show you what it looks like whenever every moment is like waking up on the wrong side of the bed for the rest of your day, right?
Yeah.
And conversely, if you wake up and meditate, well, maybe life just kind of shows itself in that way too for the rest of the day. And so whenever we're talking about interdimensional things like aliens or consciousnesses or, you know, people who have passed and that energy is still around because energy can't be created or destroyed, only transferred, you know, where are they existing at? It almost makes me wonder, like, is it all right here, right now? And in just how we tune our antenna, is that what allows us to be able to converse with those energies and stuff like that? You know, like, is it that and also stacked dimensions on top of each other? Like, what do you think about that?
It's infinite, baby. But I do think that, you know, although our linear minds like to look at things like, you know, this happened, then this happened, then this happened. So we even talk about, let's say, like past lives, future lives. It's actually, it's, you know, our mind likes to look at it like past and future, but it might be more beneficial to look at it like parallel. And that, yes, everything is here and now, stacked and folded on top of each other. There is no moment that is not here and now. Wherever you are is there and is now. And you know, if you were to wake up tomorrow in another dimension, you wouldn't even know because, you know, essentially you'd be downloaded with all the information you needed to go on and have your experience. But I'll tell you, I mean, like I had a dream the other night that was like so vivid, and it was me, and I was a professional baseball player and I was on the All-Star team, and it was at Dodger Stadium, and like I went up to bat. It was so vivid. And like
So convinced.
there was
right?
no feeling in me that was like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, you know, it was
Right.
like, and then like the coach came up to me and was like, yo, it doesn't even matter what you do in today's game because you got a sick ass contract coming. And like, you know, so there was a message for me mystically that was like, it doesn't matter what you do, Banks, you already made the all-star team spiritually, consciously. Doesn't matter if you hit the home run, you got like offers coming, you're all good. But also I just like I had the thought that was like, yeah, that exists somewhere.
Mhm.
And that, like, you know, my first dream as a child was becoming a professional baseball player. And that, like, maybe that it's playing out somewhere and I just tapped into it for a message. I don't know.
Yeah, because in that moment when you are stepping up to bat, you know what I mean? You don't have, like you said, you don't have those thoughts of I'm not actually a professional
No, in
baseball
fact, I
player.
had thoughts of like that person, like, oh, I practiced for this. I know what I'm doing. Like
Like there was a
fucking
past.
weird, right? Like
Right.
Dude,
Exactly.
yeah, there's just something so magical about dreams, bro, that
oh,
it's
yeah.
almost like the dream world is trying to help you remember that you're infinite in a sense.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. And it's like a simulation, a safe place to do things before you come here and do things.
Yeah.
The
dude.
simulation within the simulation within the
So let's see, December 2nd, 1992, that would be the monkey. So let's see here real quick. So 1992 would be you're a water monkey.
Water monkey.
That's pretty
Probably
sweet.
the best kind, I'm sure.
One of the best. Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Dude, and that's just as far as being able to look at yourself through all the different modalities, whether it is Chinese astrology, tropical astrology, sidereal astrology, and looking at it through all. And I'm not saying that, you know, and we did a show the other day. It was on the difference between tropical astrology and sidereal astrology, where true sidereal astrology is based upon the star alignment above your head as it is right now and as it was the moment that you were born, not necessarily based upon, you know, how the sky was in the year 130 BC whenever they created the tropical astrology calendar at that time, which is, you know, how the people were looking at it then. Right. And so and they're also like fixed constellations at perfect 30-degree sections in the sky, which is incorrect. Right. Like,
Right.
But they say that they were doing that based upon the seasons. Right? And it wasn't necessarily based upon the size of the constellation, but it was based upon the seasons. If we're looking at the sky as if it's some kind of yearly clock in that sense, then every single constellation would represent 30 degrees in the sky of the entire zodiacal wheel, which is, it's not wrong.
Yeah, but they created the sections kind of, right? So it's kind of like yeah, it's not wrong. And I will say that, like, let's astrology, like the main let's say like your main planets and stuff, like that is a very dumbed down version of what it actually is when you get very deep into it, which is why on the surface a lot of times you're like, I don't really resonate with that. But then if you get with a real astrologer, no matter what kind of astrology it is, when they start going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into all that, it very much lines up.
Oh, dude, it is crazy how spot on it is. It's like, so we don't have free will. You're saying that this is fate. Is that what you're trying to say? Because how did you know that I would come out to be this kind of individual? Like,
yeah, and I think it's as simple as, like, when you're creating a video game and you create a character and you're like, I want my character to be a wizard who does, flight attacks and has a rabbit and can do spells, and it's like you're kind of like choosing its attributes, but then you get to go play the game
yeah,
however you want. But
it
you
does
did
seem like
create
that.
the game. You did create the game and the character in the game.
Well, I'm happy with the way that we chose these avatars, though, because to be podcasters talking about spiritual, magical stuff is pretty damn awesome, I would say.
Yeah.
And also I just want to say, bro, I need to give you a huge shout out, because I find myself, I always try and catch myself if I'm ever having like a really bad day. And I always try and flip the script as soon as I possibly can, because I know that it's only going to multiply, throughout the rest of the day if you just stay within that energy. And one of the hacks that I have built for myself to get myself out of those kind of funks is by going and listening to your playlist on Spotify. And my favorite song to go to, it is just such a bop, bro, but that 333 song gets me every single time. Like, it is so I just want to say your music is awesome. You don't get enough credit, and
Thank you,
I
bro.
listen to it every day.
Oh man, I appreciate it. Yeah, I have 3 albums out for your listening pleasure, everybody. But I just started a new hip hop duo with my brother called Mystic Minds. We haven't released anything yet. Just a couple teasers on Instagram. We did like a remix of like an Ozzy Osbourne song, Mr. Crowley, and like we released that. Just one piece of content, got a bunch of views real quick. So we're just kind of teasing with some stuff, but we're about 10 songs deep into a 20-song album right now.
Nice.
And like our whole thing that we're trying to build is like the music is going to be for free, like totally for free. And then, how you support us is we want to create like a community, a culture where maybe like a comic book goes with the album, right? You buy the comic book, or, we want to create something maybe like in a virtual world, something like, I don't know, something where like people want to be involved in the virtual aspect of it, but it forces them into the physical world. Maybe some type of like treasure hunting stuff. I'm not exactly sure, but we're trying to figure out something to take our power back, really, as underground artists, because the industry, it's basically, the labels have made themselves obsolete, and we are taking the power back.
Oh,
I love it, dude. I love it. To give you a shout out, I'm really digging the shadow boxing. That
Thank
one's
you, bro.
good. Everything is everything. Why you got a name? Or
Why you got a name? We were just talking about that.
Dude,
yeah.
As soon as you name me, you negate me.
Right.
And you know what's funny too? Just applying that concept, I love kind of just stirring the pot a little bit, especially on my other podcast, The Cult of Conspiracy. My co-host over there, he's a Christian, nothing wrong with that. I mean, we just have difference of opinion. That's fine. And so we get into like, what is God and what isn't God and stuff like that. Well, God's everything. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So so that means I'm God. And well, no, come on, and I'm like, well, I think by you saying what God isn't, you're only putting limitations on what God is, right? So it's almost like the Tao that can be named is not the right Tao, right? Within Taoism. And so by you saying that, you're not God and I'm not God and your kids aren't God and your computer or whatever isn't God and the sky isn't God, it's like, all right, we'll keep on applying more limitations to them then at that point.
Yeah. Well, like, the line in the Bible, I am that I am, right? I take that as meaning I am that I am that.
Yeah.
That's how I take it. Not just I am. No, I'm that I am. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the YHVH or the Yode Vave. I am that I am at that point. It's like,
Yep.
it's an entire perspective change, you know, and man, it makes this place feel a lot more like home whenever you just like look around and, oh, you're not separate from me. That thing's not separate from me. This place isn't separate from me. This isn't even my first time being here, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, the way I like to explain it to people, and it's just that, you know, the physical world is everything here emerges from the non-physical, from the womb, from a field of infinite potential. So we all do come from the same source. There is no separation. It can seem random and chaotic, but it's only because it's unpredictable. But that's because it's infinite. It's the ultimate act of love.
But even within that, the infinite possibilities, you see like innumerable amount of synchronicities.
Yeah, it has to be. It's like, you know, my eyes and my hands and my nose are like, you know, different parts of me, but really they're just different ways of experiencing the same one thing, right?
Yeah, it's just different aspects. That's funny too,
Yeah.
because I was looking down at like my belly earlier just for some reason, and I just had this strange thought of like, my belly is also me. You know what I'm saying? Is that
That's
also
what I'm
me
saying.
at that point? You know, just getting real weird. And I'm like,
This reminds me of something. I forgot what it was from. My friend was just telling me about this. It's from some old movie or something, but it's something about the guy was like, oh, like I cut my body off, or it was a joke about cutting his body off, but it really was like he cut his penis off or something. And it just made me think about like, oh yeah, like where do I begin, and like where does my penis end and I begin? Like where is the, and that is for everything.
yeah, pretty
Right?
much.
I'm sorry if that's too graphic for y'all, but
No,
you
it's,
are my penis.
but no, it's interesting to even bring that up because I saw that there was a comment on we reposted an old show a couple weeks ago with a conversation we had with this guy who was an understudy to Manly P. Hall. His name is Ronnie Pontiac. Fascinating individual. If you ever get the chance to talk to him, I could hook you up, have him come on your show. He is, dude, literally studied under Manly Hall, like crazy, right? And really good conversation. But we reposted that and we put it up on YouTube and everything. And somebody was like, oh, he was just into basically phallus magic. Just look at him. It's Manly P. Hall, Manly Phallus. And I was like, I mean, that's an interesting conclusion that you just drew. Maybe he was onto something, but and not to say that there isn't magic that you can kind of manifest by masturbation and all that, because that's a real thing too, you know. But it's always fascinating to me whenever people look at like esoteric teachers and esoteric masters and just assume always that they're working with the dark side. I'm like, always, every time.
Well, yeah, but my whole thing is this: is that if you haven't worked with the darkness, then you ain't working with the light.
Right. Yep.
What the fuck are you doing? If
you gotta know the shadows, right?
Exactly. You ate from the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Oh, dude, Jesus had conversations with Satan, bro.
I'm saying, dog. Like he can't, and it's like I am the darkness.
Oh, like, and that's even what God says. There was, oh man, you know what? Let me pull up that quote too, because there was a quote in the Bible that really got me a little bit, just trying to define like what God is or whatever, right? And just there was this quote. Let me see if I can find it. Oh yeah, it was in Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, and it was God speaking. And it said, I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. It's like, boom, right there. Like, forget the idea of, you know, the good guy and the bad guy. They're the same fucking character.
Well, and so like, look, this is how I explain it to people. It's like, and it can be hard for our minds to grasp this, but let's say source is not light or dark. It's actually formless. It has no edges, no shape, no taste, no sound. It's pure everything and nothing. And it's so it's got no form to it. So it created the illusion of duality. light and dark, opposites. Because
Yep.
only through duality can we make form, can we experience something. And then that act of light and dark, when it manifests in infinite ways, infinite free will is the highest act of love. Yes, you're going to get some suffering. You're going to get some weird stuff. You're going to get some bad people, some bad things. But it's really just a distortion of the truth.
Oh, dude,
Even
and that's
Superman got kryptonite, you know?
had to, or else nobody was going to watch him anymore.
They had to invent that just so that people would be interested in him maybe losing.
Yeah.
They
Duality.
had to get like, there had to be a reason to make him more, you know,
Vulnerable.
because if you're watching a show and he just wins every time, like that's
Yeah.
not going to be very entertaining, you know?
Well, and again, it's like, even if there's for anything to take form, there must be resistance. Like literally anything, for anything to take form, there must be resistance. And that you could look at it like yin and yang and evil and good and that kind of stuff. It's just fucking the thing that keeps us pushing and pulling.
It do. I want to get back over to the chat here for a second. Super Marky said, I've recently been thinking about the simulation and how it seems like a soul contract is nothing more than attributes that you assign to your character at the beginning of an RPG.
Yes,
have you ever played Cyberpunk 2077?
I haven't played that.
I haven't played that, but I think that that's a very interesting theory. And if that sparks something in you, then you should follow it.
100%, dude.
Those attributes in which you've chosen, but then you also make that choice to maintain. If
Exactly.
you'd
And you
like.
can kind of decide later on, oh, maybe I don't want to have as many magical powers.
Right.
Maybe I want to work on my strength a little bit more, right? You can change it anytime.
That's it.
Brit said it's crazy how that works. That most people start out in the conspiracy realm, and then it doesn't take long to get into the more spiritual stuff. You just start seeing the lies everywhere. And dude, I always say this, that like, if it wasn't for, you know, just me on my own personal journey, if it wasn't for the creation of the cult of conspiracy, I don't know if I would have ever gotten here. But I had to see how many cracks in the illusion there actually were in order to understand that there is something that is underlying, that is definitive, and in order to understand like our connection to it in the sense, right? So like, all right, government lies to us. I've like, if I ever find a time where the government isn't lying to us, I'll be a lot more shocked. You know what I'm saying? Like I've just gotten to that point in my life where I'm like, oh, they said that it was going to happen and then it did. Huh, that's color me shocked in that sense, right? And not even just with government stuff, but just conspiracy all the way around, whatever the case may be. Maybe it's religious lies or political lies, or, you know, the big pharmaceutical lies or whatever, right? Like it's all across the board that you find that not all of these things and people and organizations and stuff have your best interests. And every single time you remind yourself of that, you're almost pushing yourself down your own path, because if that's not true and if that's not real, now you're finding yourself creating your own path in your own sense, trying to be your own light, because you realize that all these other big corporate lights are only guiding you right into their pocketbook, right?
Well, perhaps I think about like this. Maybe it's as lighthearted as the conspiracies are a reflection of the conspiracy of existence. The mystery, the conspiracy of, you know, believing that you're not divine, only to figure out that you are. Perhaps that's that, you know, grand conspiracy that makes everything go round simply reflects in our existence.
Oh, dude, it's
That's
magical.
beautiful.
It's magical in that way. And also like it'll get you to look at like secret societies and mystery cults and all that stuff in a completely different lens too. Because even like the Freemasons, they're like, see, I saw the checkerboard floors. They're playing with magic. And it's like, dude, they actually know some shit. And you're looking at it like it's just evil. It's like, there's so much more to it than that.
Well, and at the same time, like they were just some homies who wanted to get together and blaze and have a drink and talk about some crazy conspiracy shit like I do with my homies.
Oh, yeah, dude.
And next thing you know, you got 30 people in a room with you. And you're like, oh, shit, I guess we got to make some robes.
We got a club now. We got to dress up.
Before you know it, you're doing simulated death rituals. But hey, whatever, you know.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks they're illuminated, you know. Everybody's like, oh, we figured out something.
Yeah, they're just
You at least
laying in a
figured it out for yourself anyway, you know?
dude, just laying in a coffin. Just like I've died, and the new me is going to be the one that walks up out of this casket.
And
So
then you
fun.
really feel that once you do it, you know?
Dude, is that not what baptism is? I always try and tell people this, right? Is that not the idea behind baptism, that you die only to be reborn into this life, like sinless and pure?
Yeah, I think so. And also like a cleansing ritual. But yeah, obviously it's like amniotic fluid. It's, emerging from the non-material. All
That's
right.
it.
Oh,
It's
dude.
the Orphic egg, dude.
Yeah. No, it just reminds me of like like even within the Bible, it talks about the womb, but it doesn't call it the womb. It says that it's called the matrix.
Yeah. And that is, right? I mean, a matrix is a system. And, Alan Watts talks about this, that a system cannot be a system unless it lets go of itself. Right. So it's like, yeah, for anything to be something, it must be inside of something. And that's the womb.
It is the womb. It's the matrix. There was somebody that was talking about like, imagine there were twins in this one, in this one womb. And the one comes up with this crazy idea of like, can you just imagine what the outside world is? And I can imagine there's planes and trains and there's all these different kind of crazy things. And the other little twin inside the womb is just like, come on, man, you got to wake up to reality. This is all that there is. Look around.
Yeah.
Like, we're just swimming around. There is nothing more outside of this. And the other guy's like, I'm telling you, I know that there has to be. I had
There's
this
a
dream.
shift, dude. There's a
There's
shift
something
coming.
beyond the womb. There has to be.
Yeah. And I was like, man, that is a perfect allegory for this life.
Yeah,
You know?
totally. Absolutely. Yeah, man. And like, for a lot of the feminines out there, and like, we manifest as physical genders, but it's just energy, right? It's the feminine energy, masculine energy, receiving, giving, right? And just that, like, the feminine energy, the reason why you go through the menstrual cycles, the pain of childbirth, all this kind of stuff is because you are the power that can transmute negative energy. Men do not have that same power. We can still do it, but we don't have those same attributes that we created when we came here, right? And so I just want all the women and the feminine out there to know, and even the masculine, that like, this is what we're here to do. We're here to transmute this shit,
Yeah, dude.
through art, through poetry, through, creating things. We take the negative and we unravel it and make it positive for the collective.
I mean, look, you can make a pile of shit from Play-Doh, or you can also build a castle with it, you know? So Super Marky said everything everywhere all at once. 100%. Yeah. Also said, we're the kid on the edge of the bed in his room playing the video game.
Yep. Love that.
Those were good times.
Nice. Mama Slaney said, I think I'm a rooster, July 6, 1993. So yeah, let's look at that real quick. I'm just always fascinated by all these different lenses that you can you can find yourself in, and they all kind of speak to the same. So rooster, was it? Let's see. Rooster, you said 1996. No, it's not a rooster.
93,
That's
no?
Was it 93? Is that what it said?
93, yeah.
Oh, 93. I'm tripping. I think I'm getting the numbers mixed up there. 1993. You would be a water rooster.
All right.
A lot of water up in here.
A lot of water.
Be like
Makes sense.
water, my friend.
Yeah, dude. Pete said December 2nd, 1992. Did I already read that one? That was a water
Well, yeah,
one.
and like, what you guys will start noticing if you want to do more research into the, let's say, like primordial understandings of things, then all of the zodiac will make sense to you. All of the animal stuff, because I'm talking about learning the basics of what numbers mean, what colors mean, what shapes mean, masculine and feminine energy, duality. That's like very simple kind of things like that. Then you're going to see that like these animals of the zodiac are literally manifesting from these divine ideas of like numbers and shapes and colors, and they literally represent that.
Oh, dude.
Wow.
And just as far as like shapes go, this is something that I've been listening to other shows and stuff like that. One of my favorite podcasts of all time is called Crow 777. He gets into a lot of like sacred geometry and stuff like that too sometimes. And it was just talking about like the very first manifestation of anything was just a single point, right?
Yes.
Like, and then from the point came the line, and then from the next line, or from that line came another line, and the only time that there was ever able to form anything into any kind of shape, that the triangle had to have been the first shape, because
Yep.
it's the first thing that manifests as a whole thing from like three collective individual units.
And
at
a
that point.
triangle is 3, and 3 in numerology represents creativity. So you're telling me that the first shape that could be created. You see how the connection's already there. So
Oh, dude.
start learning these basic things, and everything starts making a lot more sense.
Oh, dude, it's the Father, it's the Son, and the Holy Ghost, or it's the mind, body, and
Exactly.
soul.
When a man and a woman get together, they create a child, right?
Make 3.
Well,
Wow.
and also if you look at just like certain initiatory rites, especially even within magic and stuff like that, like we read this book. We always love to reference it, but it's called The Magician by Philip Cooper. Such a fucking awesome book. But basically, you're supposed to go and walk through these 2 pillars inside your meditative mind, in a sense. And the idea about you walking through 2 pillars, I believe, would be that you represent that 3rd pillar, right? And so you represent, you're taking 2 parts and you're creating something as a whole unit at that point.
Yes. And 11 is often represented as a portal in numerology, which is like two pillars, right? And that's 2 right before 3.
Yeah, well, and then you start getting conspiratorial. You look at the Twin Towers and that whole thing, but
Yeah.
we're not going to get too weird tonight. But yeah, dude, it's just crazy whenever you start really looking at the symbolism of the world and then trying to almost like, how can I do something in my own life with this kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's creating your own language with the universe, because you should have your own language with it.
Dude, that's what the synchronicity is. Like every time you see a synchronicity, it's like your own little connection to the matrix itself in that moment.
Yeah, and don't let it just happen. Start telling it, okay, next time when I see this numbers, only show it for this reason. Like, and then now we're starting to kind of having a reciprocal conversation.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome. Dude.
Well, and that,
just like the other night, man, we had a meditation, and I forget the specific meditation, but I didn't even mention this part of it, but I saw like a Pegasus, right? And I wasn't thinking about that. This was
Yeah.
something that just came out of nowhere, but I didn't mention it after the show because I was like, that was kind of weird. And like, I don't know, because there was something else that happened as well. The very next day, my wife and I decided to watch a movie, and it was Clash of the Titans, because I was like, why haven't I seen this yet? It looks cool. It's about the gods and the Greek gods. And wouldn't you know it, there's like a bunch of Pegasus or whatever. I don't know how you
love
pluralize
it.
that. But yeah, and I
Love
was
it.
like, there it is. You know what I mean? It's like in my reality, it was like, did I make that happen? Or was I
It's
seeing
both.
it beforehand? It's
It's
both,
an
right?
echo. It's an echo of the future, and at the same time, like, you wrote, directed, and starred in that movie as you watched it, essentially, right? And that it presented itself to you exactly when it needed to give you some type of a message. And what a Pegasus represents, horses represent freedom. And they have wings, so there's something ethereal and godly like about it. It's your steed, it's loyalty, right? It's all these kind of things. So
Yeah, dude.
yeah.
And then what happens is what I do to myself in that moment is like, well, if I didn't have that meditation and I didn't see that the Pegasus, and I just so happened to watch Clash of the Titans,
It wouldn't have had
I
that
wouldn't
same.
even have thought to, you know what I mean? Seeing the same thing that I would have seen anyways, and
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know, but still cool though,
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely recommend to people, if you do a lot of meditating, or if you like to analyze your dreams, or if you want someone to interpret your dreams like me, definitely keep a dream catcher like by your head somewhere, or like, near where you're sleeping. I put one up like 6 months ago, and every single night I remember every one of my dreams like super vividly.
Dude, I'm gonna have to try that because I feel like and especially lately, like the last I don't know, 4 or 5 months, I've been dreaming every night. Like I'm for sure I had at least 3 or 4 different dreams, but by the time I wake up, they're so jumbled together, and I'm like, I don't know. I feel like I did a lot of shit right now, but I just there might be one little small aspect of it, but yeah, I might have to try that, dude.
Yeah, man, it's definitely worth it. Some people put crystals behind their head. It's all just initiation kind of stuff. You're basically setting an intention to
Right.
remember your dreams.
That way you can shift your attention
Yeah.
towards that. Right.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. You're kind of taking that first step to shift your attention, which I
Yeah.
think that's the entire, reason why you would have any kind of ritual or setting your intention or having any kind of affirmation or anything like that in general is to just set that initial intention to allow it to be able to show itself, because you know that whenever you are presented with anything, that it's another little number within the equation of the infinite that now is bringing more possibility of that thing being replicated in your life.
Yeah, and it's like you're setting the momentum for it to occur in your experience as the observer.
Yeah, and what EA was saying the other night, as far as practicing the magic and everything else, the two most valuable things that you can have are your time and your attention. And if you're using both of those together, along with yourself, you're unstoppable.
That's great advice. I'm going to take that for myself.
Yeah,
He said
it makes so much sense.
He doesn't even do blood magic anymore.
You think about it, and I've said this before, as far as like when you're in class and you're wanting to look out the window, or you're drawing, you're not really paying, and the teacher's like, "Hey, pay attention, because you're paying something that is valuable. You're paying something."
Yes,
you know
absolutely.
What? To get a little weird here, though, if that's what's going on, why do you think? So if everything is kind of intention, why is it that our minds almost accept that our life force and our blood is going to help us manifest certain kind of things, as in like magical blood rituals and stuff like that? Like, because it does seem to enhance it. I've never personally done it, but just listening to other people, it's like, whenever they would do a sacrifice, all the ancients, they, practice sacrifice all the time. And they just understood that blood would amplify said ritual. What do you think that is?
Well, I think, we've talked about this before, actually, a little bit, just that, like, whatever it is that triggers you is what it is that you need. And, it is easy to, let's say, convince somebody that blood is powerful because of logical things, because of mysterious things, because of whatever. It is a life for it. These are kind of these things that, like, it just kind of triggers people to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense that would work. And then it works.
It's kind of a universal understanding.
Yeah, then it works.
Blood is important, and you want it inside of you, right? It starts to come out of you. You stop it right away. It's
exactly.
Like
and at church, they're not drinking blood; they're drinking wine, right?
Well, and the same thing goes for like, even for example, they have collected all of the perfect red heifers, and they're going to be performing the sacrifice in Israel here soon. Allegedly, they already did it on a trial practice run, and people are going around and like divvying out all the ashes and performing miracles and all this wild stuff. But it almost makes you wonder, like, does it really matter? And this is just going to get real weird here, just looking at it from another angle, right? Does it really matter that red heifer had to be perfect to where not a single hair was out of place, right? In order to perform that ritual, it has to be an exact perfect red heifer, right? And it made me think, like, is it because we value the pure and innocent and sinless the most that causes that ritual to work out a little bit more? Because in any other circumstance, you wouldn't just sacrifice that. That would be the one that you would want to eat the most, or the one that would be your prized possession. And, what do you think that is? Like, why do you think that it has to be pure?
There's a little bit to be said too about, like, consciously doing something that, like, I am consciously taking care of this bull or this cow. I'm consciously preparing it. I'm not just like slaughtering it, go on with it. It's like, it's kind of like how Eckhart Tolle talks about how, like, consciously making tea, right? It's like, so it's like kind of, it's more about, like, it's almost paying respect to the cow in some ways, and respect to God, that, like, that we consciously are preparing this with certain things in mind. And if you believe that you doing that is going to do something, then you created that. If you believe something is conscious, you just made it conscious, right? So if you believe that doing it with the pureness and all this, and then and like you spent all this time doing it, just like we were talking about with the magic. That like if you the time and the attention, so the time and the attention is on the bull and the purity and the making all right, then it would probably be more magical.
You're charging the battery, dude.
Yeah.
Just like we do with putting a crystal on a deck of cards, or you know what I'm saying. You are putting that energy into that.
Yeah. And cows represent mother energy and wombs and their double stomachs have a mystical meaning to it. Just that they can it takes a while to digest things, but that it all everything's temporary. Like then there's a lot of kind of more mystical understandings to what they represent and the purity of that.
Okay,
I love your understanding of all of that, like as far as the animals and all the symbolism that goes into that. That's awesome, dude.
Well, and red is grounded energy, blood,
Mhm.
all that.
Well, it's the color of the sacral chakra too, isn't it?
Mhm. Yep.
So, yeah.
And the color of hell. Interesting, huh?
Yeah. Britt said, I like this format where we're all coming together, sharing our experiences, trying to figure out all this crazy out without no one really above anyone else, if that makes sense. Yep. It's more laid back.
I love that's the energy that we're trying to create, man. I don't have any strong opinions. If it's fun, I'm gonna follow it.
Dude.
Yeah.
Especially if you're making your own reality.
Well, who am I to tell another god what is their reality?
Right. Yep.
Yes, God. Britt said maybe there is outer worlds to be found, but they're not actually physical like here.
Yeah, could be.
Could be. Yeah.
All possibilities exist.
Do you think that whenever you die, that you become privy to all that information?
Yes, but it doesn't matter at that point.
Right. Why would it?
I will tell you that when I had my near-death experiences, you have all the answers because you are the answers. The questions don't even matter anymore.
You are the mystery. You are remerged.
Everything's
with
totally
mystery,
clear.
Right?
Yeah, totally clear. And then you're like, oh, this is boring. Whoop, come back.
And then you don't remember, just like the dream.
Or it's like you do, but it's subconscious and it slowly comes out, right?
Mm.
There was, I wanted to get your opinion on this. We had an episode like a year ago with this woman who said that she was talking to her deceased grandmother through her Roku TV. And wow. She was saying that, her grandma and her entire family, they were all, really religious all the time. But then her grandma died and she noticed that there seemed to be messages being written on her TV that were directed at certain family members. And it made no sense, right? Anybody that has like a Roku TV, you're able to, whenever you go and type a word in, you have to do like letter by letter by letter by letter. It's not going to show up like full word kind of thing, right? And she was saying that that eventually everybody came to understand that, yeah, that's grandma, right? Like that is grandma. She's talking to us through this fucking Roku TV, right? Made no damn sense, but it sounds awesome. But what she said is that her grandma's speaking to her from the other side in the sense, and almost has taken on an esoteric lens of the world. It's not so boxed in and cagey. It's more wide open and trying to show her the esoteric lens of everything and looking at everything through a different lens in that sense. What are your thoughts on what is going on there from the way that you look at this reality?
Well, I think that when the physical body dies, which I actually do believe is a choice. I believe if you want to, you can literally live forever. But that when the physical body dies, it literally is like taking off a tight shoe. And it's like taking off a layer of bullshit. You're like, ugh. So, grandma might have taken off, a layer of herself when she went back into the all, if you will, and had maybe a more refined understanding of things, or a combination of her past lives came through, and she was kind of a combination of these things, and just that, yeah, beyond that, everything is here and now, and from the unseen realms, they all have access to this place. Only from this place do we have a hard time accessing the other places.
It does seem like a bit of a conundrum. So it's just fun trying to look at it from that angle, like what is going on there. And I guess it's not really that much different, as opposed to, you talking to family members or deities or whatever in meditations or in prayer or something like that. This is more of just like some kind of physical manifestation, almost like a Ouija board kind of situation or a tarot kind of situation, to where they're communicating with you through a certain medium.
Yeah.
And
Well,
so,
and it sounds like it was the perfect medium to choose, because they all kind of agreed, like, yeah, okay, this is grandma. So it's like, yeah, it does work in mysterious ways. And that, I've had experiences where people who were not dead yet came to me as like an angel form of themselves, like a couple weeks before they died, and they came to
Oh
me in like a
wow.
vision. And then, I've also had stuff where my future self has talked to myself now in meditations.
Mm.
And like, I know that like at some point in the future, I'm going to be meditating and like go back and talk to my younger self, and things like that. So I think time is an illusion. And as the observer, the projector and recorder of my reality, whatever I need to experience is going to come through in the infinite ways possible.
That's interesting, actually, when we talk about like the infinite, and when you go to the other side, and now you have all the answers, right? But if everything is so infinite and we are the observer and projector of what we experience, then how could there be an objective truth at all?
There can't. And that's why it's so scary to be in this human experience, because we're actually constantly going into the unknown. We're supposed to
Hmm.
be,
Right,
because we're creating it. We're the
right,
ones supposed to go there for the first
right,
time.
right. So everybody's right and wrong at the same
Yes.
time.
Yes.
That's great.
And no.
I love this.
no.
I got chills.
It's
Something
funny.
unlocked.
We had a conversation the other night, and we were talking about the watchers and falling down from heaven, and a third of the stars coming down to earth, and
Yeah.
could that have been the dragon's tail that swept a third of the stars, and could that have been the fall and the cause of the Nephilim and the cause of the flood and all this kind of wild shit, right? And it made me think, like, what if you were to look at it through the watcher's perspective? Instead of just rebelling, could it be something else, right? It could it just be that they wanted to try and see what it was like to live in a dualistic kind of place, rather than just everything always going perfectly all the time,
Yeah.
and it made me think about like a past life regression that I did. So before I ever got into like being a past life regressionist, I got hypnotized twice, and we were like practicing on each other. Me and a couple other hypnotists were practicing on hypnotizing each other and giving past life regressions. So my second time, which was my last time that I ever got regressed to a past life, I was like this watcher above a planet or a world or something like that, and I became like real not upset, but just kind of sad that people stopped calling on me for help, right? And like in that moment, I was like, man, these people, they're struggling. They're going through all these hard times. If they only knew that I was here, what would be a way to help them remember? And that I couldn't figure out a way to help them remember without like interrupting their own free will in a sense, right? And so what happened was I ended up going to the manager of that department, which I looked at as Odin, that was sitting at some kind of throne. And I said, look, I want to be able to help. I can't help at all up here. Like, there's nothing that I can do that is going to help anybody. I feel like I'm just wasting my time, and I'm just going to fade into nothingness after a while, right? And I was like, I want to be able to help. I want to try and get like boots on the ground. Like, can I just go down there and like help them in some kind of way? And Odin's like, your wish is my command. And he takes his staff on both of my shoulders. And as soon as he touches my head with the final anointing or whatever, I'm like coming through a womb, like, which is kind of crazy, right? And it almost made me really look at the fallen angels or the watchers that have fallen in a different perspective. Like, is it possible that they kind of just, I don't know, wanted to come down and raise the vibration of the earth, or whatever you want to say? Like, what are your thoughts on that angle of the fallen?
I think that through duality, yes, things manifested as like demigods and light beings, angel, the fallen, however you want to look at it, and that they are essentially part of the light and dark forces that kind of are a, let's say, part of the fabric of this reality. Like they literally are like the things that are holding it together. Um, and that, yeah, so that like God source duality then created like demigods, angels, light beings, and eventually like it got more and more and more dense to be in physical form, but that these light and dark forces don't have free will in the sense that we do. That they're doing their jobs beautifully, but that the dark are doing the dark things, the light are doing the light things, and they work together, and it's all. But that they are in a way almost jealous of us because we have so much free will and we can experience both the light and the dark and transmute, and essentially that we are the manifesting power so that the forces that don't take material form can only influence us to manifest the reality that they prefer. So how we then take our power back is through creativity and creating the reality that we prefer.
Oh, that's great. I love that, dude. Very well said, man.
Thank you.
It's
Like
just so
they're
much
jealous
more.
of us because we don't know what we don't know, and they
Yeah,
just seem to know just about everything.
I
yeah,
mean,
and I think that
probably in the same
that's
way
what
that
the
we
split is
look
about.
at it, probably in the same way that we look at like little kids, right? Like
Yes,
everything is
yes.
so open. They don't have any restrictions. They can be whatever they want to be. Meanwhile, we get
Mhm.
older and it's like
Exactly. And I
just,
think that's how ETs kind of look at us too. As like they're kind of like
Oh
younger
shit!
inner child, more innocent, like, oh, we gotta help these guys because they just
Right,
don't really kind of realize it. Some of them think that way. Some of them probably use us for fuel. Some of them
right,
probably just come here for recreational purposes. Who
right.
knows?
yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
dude. So much fun looking at all this kind of stuff. Pete said, is
Look
Banks
at Enoch, yeah.
Pete said,
Eddie.
is Banks referring to Sun Wukong, the Monkey King? Goku from Dragon Ball Z is inspired by him.
Yes, yes.
Nice.
Yeah.
Danny
What was that
said,
other
My
book, Danny,
brother
that
my
you were
brother's a
putting up?
kung fu master, so I know a lot about kind of more the ancient Chinese kung fu
What was
mysticism
that
stuff.
second one that you put up?
oh, the Book of Jasher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he threw up the 1975 King James Bible too. Pretty sweet. Oh, Danny, so you're actually the same as me as far as the Chinese zodiac. You're also a metal horse. It's actually a golden horse that year because it's like all the different metals and the different types of liquid and stuff like that. It changes like every 70 years or whatever it is. But
Yeah, what I love about the Chinese zodiac too is they have the four elements, but then they have metal. And that like the metal I think is such a cool element to add because it's like a man-made thing and it's like a combination of
Mm-hmm.
things. I don't know. I
Yep.
just I always thought that was a really
Like
interesting thing that they
something
added
that
that
something that has been transmuted
a synergy, right?
into
Yeah.
what it is.
oh,
Right.
dude, it's just like whenever we read the Alchemist by Paulo Coelho.
Mhm.
Dude, anybody that hasn't
Beautiful.
read that book, we read it on the show, but fucking awesome story, dude. Basically all about transmutation. That's really what it's all
Mhm.
about, and just the alchemy of
Yes.
the soul in a sense.
It's got a lot of beautiful messages, dude. Something that you could really apply.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. Danny said, I think I would come back as my son, see how I was as a dad.
Yeah.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah,
for
and you
sure.
have and you will, your son has been your father, has been your lover, has been the one that murdered you. Like everything is recycling, right? And so if you want to feel that way, you already have and you will at some point in another incarnation or, it's
Well, I
beautiful.
mean, just think about like all the different masks that Jim Carrey wears and all the different movies that he's in. It's
Right.
like, he can be the Mask, he can be Ace Ventura, he can be the Grinch. You know what I'm saying? Like he can be all these different characters, but it's still the same kind of energy
Still-
behind every
It's
single one
still
of them.
him.
Well,
Right,
yeah, and
they're-
I remember
they're all him.
asking one of my spiritual teachers when I first started waking up. I was like, "Wait, so like if I'm you and I'm everybody, then like will I like reincarnate as you at some point and like live this again like as you?" And he was like, "Well, you don't have to because you're living me through you."
Oh my
And I just thought
Mm.
that was very fascinating and I was like, "Oh, that feels really good."
That does
I
feel
like
nice. Feels the water's warm on that one.
that.
Britt said, I'm a lion in Western astrology and a tiger in Chinese astrology. So just cats all around. Not going to use the other word. More.
I love cats. I'm a liar and starseed myself. If you couldn't tell with the lion's mane.
I'm trying to grow it back out, dude. Every time my hair gets long, for some reason, I think it's a good idea to cut it off. And just because you almost start to get like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but you almost start to get jealous of people that are walking around with short hair. Like, oh man, it's so much less work. You ain't got to wash and condition it and brush it and comb it and maintain it every day. It's a full on pet that you got to deal with. But then I see you and I got this short hair over here and I'm like, God damn it. I need to grow it back. It's time.
Oh yeah, I was, whenever I got hand tattoos or grew my hair, like when I still had a 9-to-5 job in the Matrix, like I'd always be like, oh. And now that I broke out of that shit, I'm like, let's fucking go.
Oh, dude, you ever see like Sadhguru? Like his hair is all over the place. He has this like crazy looking beard.
Well, there's a lot of mystical, spiritual ties to hair. It's an extension of our nervous system, essentially, right? And it's like, it picks up a lot of energy. It's kind of like how cats feel things with their hair, and that kind of stuff. And that's why it's also really important that if you have a lot of hair and you're doing a lot of spiritual work, that you wash it a lot and this kind of stuff.
Oh, boy, because it'll like carry energy from day to day in that sense?
Yep, absolutely.
I made the awful mistake of shaving my beard, and I feel like I lost a part of myself. It's awful. I can't wait for it to grow back. I'm actually going to need you to send me some of yours.
I actually got sponsored by
got enough to go around.
I got sponsored by a beard company that's pretty good, actually, called Nickel City Beard Blends. They're out of Canada.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
If anybody's interested.
That's like is that like a salve or something?
They do everything. They have like shampoo, salve, like they got stuff for tattoos. They got a bunch of different stuff.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I gotta grow mine back. Right before the show, I went and and I was gonna like brush my hair or whatever, and like brush my beard. Usually, I'll brush it out, and I'm like, oh shit. Like who am I?
Dude, I feel that same way. Like whenever I go and chop my beard off, because I'm so used to doing this all the time.
Yeah.
Like if you got a beard, you're so used to just touching it and just being weird.
Yeah.
But
so if you're thinking about shaving your beard, anybody out there, just don't do it.
Don't do it. That's a bad
Learn
idea.
from me. All right.
Danny said, I've seen a lot of red cows here in Canada. I wonder what is a red cow supposed to be like? I mean, I get that it's supposed to be a little bit more sacred for the sacrifices and stuff like that, but I wonder why a red cow over just a regular like spotted cow.
Who makes the determination whether or not the red heifer is perfect? Who's deciding this?
Yeah, I don't know. Super Marky said the Archons, the Smiths, the programs that run the Matrix and police it. The Watchers, Smith being Satan, the angel that broke from the Matrix to become independent.
Yeah.
Jeez.
That's the whole like the Gnostic version of the Garden of Eden at that point. It's like they look at the serpent as the good guy in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Trying to bring knowledge, right?
That's kind of how I look at it in a lot of ways. I mean, the metaphor of the Garden of Eden is very clear to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's retold in the hero's journey and tarot cards and everything else. And that it's the story of becoming aware and not just being an animal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of tarot cards, Sean, we got one of those bad boys pulled out already?
Oh, dude, you know what? I am slacking.
What?
Man. I was so into the conversation, man. I wasn't even thinking about it.
No,
dude, I just bought my brother his first tarot card deck for his birthday. He was like, I think I'm ready. I was like, all right, let's go, bro.
I think I'm ready.
And I have like several tarot decks that I use that are like, I used to have one that was my favorite, right? Which was funny because it was the cheapest one. It was a deck from Five Below. Anybody that's ever gone there, it's like $5 tarot deck or whatever, right? And then I got this one deck so for Christmas last year, I bought my mom's like real into coloring and stuff, right? And so I was like, well, that'd be interesting. Maybe I'll get her one of those tarot decks that you can color and you can make your own colors on there or whatever, right? Yeah. And so I bought her that, and for my birthday this year, she sent it to me in the mail all colored. And I was like, oh, that's like the perfect like magical tarot deck, right? because
Love that.
you think about it, it's 78 cards, and not only are you coloring the actual picture, you got to color the back to every single one too. And so there was I just and it was even more awesome because my mom was coloring the actual face of the card, whether it's the Queen of Swords or the Magician or whatever, and then my dad was coloring all the backs of them. And so it's like a little mix
effort,
of
man.
yeah, it's like a little mix of them. So that became like my favorite deck. And then I decided to get one of those decks because we're really trying to understand the tarot in a little bit more, and just understanding the symbolism of each individual card a little bit more. Maybe if you look at one card and you can think of one word every time you look at each card, right? And so I bought this other deck that's like one of those beginner decks that's like this right here. It shows
Those are great.
the description of what it means,
Yeah.
And so I just pulled up the Knight of Cups just for example, and it says it stands for romance, charming, graceful, invitations, following your heart and dreams. So just like, all right, it's almost like flashcards when you're studying for a test at that point.
It's funny. I've been pulling the Knight of Cups a lot lately, and it's funny because my interpretation of that card has slowly changed over time. Although it does still mean those things. Like when I see it as someone who has returned from the hero's journey with the elixir to share with the people.
That's great.
Wow. That's funny
great.
that you bring that up. I was just looking, and there was this, I think it was, let me check it real quick because I sent it to myself on Instagram. And this guy was talking about how there's an elixir that you can take, and basically no matter what's wrong with you, it's always going to heal you in some kind of way. And it's made like with brown rice and here it is.
Oregano and stuff like that.
Yeah, what is his name? Hiroshi Hasakawa. Dr. Hiroshi Hasakawa posted about this certain elixir and then mysteriously died in 2025, those kind of things. But but he called it STAP. And so it says STAP cells can be easily made at home. They were originally researched at the Kumamoto University and then entrusted to Riken. The culture solution used as the base was brown rice lactic acid bacteria. And they say that he was basically going on and saying that it was some kind of magical elixir to where anything that's wrong with you, it will heal you in some kind of sense. But it's made of, let's see, so 1 cup of pesticide-free brown rice, 1.5 liters of natural water, 15 grams of natural coarse salt, and 45 grams of brown sugar. So I just want to throw that out there, and because people were eating that or drinking it or whatever, and we're healing from everything, like from cancer and like crazy things, right? And I was like, dude, it does exist out there. Anything that...
Oh, yeah. 100%. But that's this is my whole thing, though, is that like even the elixir and the metaphor of the tarot it's not like an actual thing. It's whatever it is to you. It's like, it's what did you learn? What if all the mixing of all the things together now, how can you heal the people with what you've learned, right?
Or and what you create, right?
And even this elixir that you're talking about, like, it wouldn't surprise me at all if it would work, because if you think it does, it does.
Oh, dude, I feel that same way.
We covered that with the placebo effect.
Yeah,
dude. Every time I get sick, I know in my mind that if I take like an Aleve, that I will be feeling perfect. Like I've just accepted that as my reality. So much so that as soon as I get sick and as soon as I pop like an Aleve or two, and I know I shouldn't be because it's Bayer and it's big pharma, whatever. But as soon as I pop it, like it kicks in before it should. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make any damn sense, but it's because of the placebo effect in that kind of sense to where I've accepted that is what's going to make me feel better.
And I think that you can the reality that you prefer.
Right, and I think that you can kind of do that with a lot of things, which is
a lot of things. And when I'm done doing energy work, if I don't cleanse myself physically and with the air, I will like get sick and throw up. So like what I do is I put like organic salt in my hands and like imagine the energy like getting sucked out through the salt, and then I wash my hands with the salt. And that's actually a common thing that like mystics and, especially like in Mexico and South America do that kind of technique, and saging and all that kind of stuff. But like, it's just it's the awareness, the imagination, the intention, all that kind of stuff.
Dude, it's crazy how all that stuff kind of does work though. And like, for example, people thought that it was just like an eclectic thing or a witchy thing to sage your house, right? And then they found out that, oh, it actually does purify the air whenever you light it, and it does get rid of all of the impure particles of the
Yeah,
air or
and it
whatever.
moves stagnation, right?
Yeah, and you're
Yeah.
supposed to, like, they say that whenever you're cleansing your house or your apartment or whatever with sage, that you're supposed to open a window or open your
Yes.
door and allow all that shit to get out, right?
You have to give the spirits a way out.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
great, dude. I got the tarot card if you gentlemen are ready.
Let's
Let's
go.
do it.
Got the 10 of Wands.
Oh, okay. The 10 of Wands. We're still learning how to read these bad boys, but the 10 of Wands. Here we go. Be mindful of taking on too many responsibilities. It is perfectly reasonable to protect your energy and say no. After digging into your energetic reserves for a long-haul effort, you find yourself pushed past your limits in the 10 of Wands card. A man struggles to carry a bundle of 10 wands, representing the difficult task of juggling multiple areas of life at once. He makes his way toward a beautiful house in the distance, but his head is down. The wands are heavy and obstructing his view. He appears to trudge blindly forward, pushing himself to his physical limits. The blue color of the card represents mental clarity, indicating the man knows that he must complete this task no matter how uncomfortable and stressful it feels in the moment. Peace of mind is just on the other side of this experience. The spiritual message behind it says, saying yes to everything and everyone has left you feeling burned out and overburdened. Creating boundaries and saying no can feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it is much more sustainable than taking on the weight of the world. You may be taking on incredible amounts of responsibility or creative projects in order to meet your personal goals.
That's great, dude. That's kind of how I was feeling this morning, man. You know, we were kind of short-staffed at work, and I just felt like everything was on me. If I didn't do it, it wasn't going to get done, and I was really stressing out, dude, and it really just made for a kind of a shitty day, you know? And so sometimes you just gotta, stop people pleasing. You can't please everybody. You just can't. There's no way.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you the optimistic interpretation of that card when I read that card is that you've been in the desert hauling around all of your magic and the shit you've picked up and the things the things you need to take with you, and you've been in the desert for 30 days and like you've almost reached civilization.
Mm-hmm.
You're almost back. That's the interpretation I like to give that card.
That's great.
Oh, yeah, that's
great.
more optimistic way of looking at it. It doesn't, and that's the thing about every single card can be read in a million different ways.
Yep.
And that's it. It kind of meets you where you are in that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like he was saying, this is how I look at this card now.
Yeah.
It evolves.
Well, now I just use cards to kind of, I guess, like channel what's on my mind. Like it's less about kind of telling a story through the card. It's more about having the card trigger a lesson that I already know about, that I've already been through, or something I can help somebody with. Right. Yeah.
Right.
Damn,
perfect.
I wonder if that's what's going on too sometimes. Like that's always in the back of my mind, is my energy being manifested in card form every time I draw a tarot card personally, right?
Yeah.
Like, is it just what's ever on my mind that's being tattooed in the frequency of a card in that moment, or and that's because you want to believe that you're getting a message from, a guide or something like that. And I don't know, I guess, is it just as prevalent of a message if it's coming from your higher self as opposed to a guide anyway? I mean, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't matter, dude, because the truth is that if you're looking at a card, like, does that picture of the card physically exist in your mind? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so in my opinion, that's a lot of proof of that. Like, you're projecting it.
Mm-hmm.
That like you're creating that image. It didn't already exist.
Right.
Oh, yeah, that does make sense too. Super Marky said, I put the salt from the Dead Sea in my shower for energy hygiene.
Yeah, it's great.
Interesting.
Sand and salt water is like the best way to ground yourself also.
Interesting.
I've been hearing a lot of people use the Celtic salt too.
Yeah.
So, pretty powerful stuff.
Just as long as it's not like table salt, because that's like super refined, not natural, like, made with, in a chemistry process.
It's all bleached.
Yeah.
Super Marky said it's divination, speaking with the gods. You're talking to yourself because you are God.
Yes.
There it
When
is.
you're speaking the truth, you are speaking divine information. Your
Damn.
It
truth.
feels so much better too, right?
Yeah, and I can't tell you how many times, I used to think, wait, no, this isn't psychic. But what it was is like I would be relating it to something that happened to me, and then they would be like, "Oh my God, yes!" And I was like, "Okay." So it does work this way. It's not just like that I have images and they're the truth or whatever. It's like it's triggering a memory in me, and now I'm sharing that with you, and now it resonates with you. Like,
Yep.
Oh man, yeah, because we're all one damn thing anyway.
that's it.
Why you got a name?
Yeah. So all right, well, I think we're gonna wrap it up right there. We're gonna get over to the meditation and finish out the rest of the show. But for anybody that wants to be able to find you, Banksy, how would they go about doing so? Your music, all your stuff, man.
Optimistic Banks. It's optimistic with the Y. Mystic. Optimistic Banks. Yeah, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, or Apple Music, everywhere and everywhere. I also I'm doing mystic work full time now, providing one-on-one sessions, energy work, monthly mentorship, energy clearing, timeline activation, tarot reading, all that fun stuff. So if you go to my Instagram or TikTok, just click on my link in my bio and you get everything you need there.
Hell
Love
yeah,
it, dude. Go check out Optimistic's music if you want to listen to something that actually means something, something on a deeper level, which we all crave, go check it out.
Dude, so good. Perfectly resonates. And it's not poisonous like a lot of the other music that's out there. You know what I'm saying? It's the exact opposite. And you feel that just frequency wise every time you listen to it, whether you're paying attention to the lyrics or not. It resonates either way. It's so good.
Thank you. I put a lot of heart and soul and truth into a lot of vulnerability.
It shows.
Pete said Optimistic Banks's Instagram is fire.
Thank you.
Love it, man. Love everything you're doing.
I just today hit 33,000 followers on Instagram.
Oh,
and 33 is my number.
There it is. There it is. Yeah, me too.
Today is a very special day.
Good shit, dude. Good shit.
33333. Yeah,
That's right.
dude. Just love it.
Well, I love y'all. I'm gonna take off then. You all be very good. And
thanks for joining us.
See you next time, guys.
All right, we'll see you next time, man.
Later, bro.
Peace.
What a episode! What a character to be talking to Optimistic.
Yeah, it's so awesome, because we found, or I seen him on Instagram, and a lot of his videos, man, are just so informative, and just the energy he puts off. Like there's been days where maybe I'm having a rough day or whatever, and then one of his videos would pop up, and I'm just like, I can't believe we were able to get him on our show at all. And so I just felt like it was a privilege.
Oh, dude, just a stud. And I feel like that with a lot of the people that we've had on the show, whether it be him or Lord Byron or Ronnie Pontiac or, the list goes on. All of the amazing people that have, when the student is ready, the teacher appears in that sense. It's just really cool.
It. Man.
So, we're going to get over to that meditation. If you want to be a part of that meditation, the only place to be able to do that is over at patreon.com/metamysteries. We don't put it on the podcast. We don't put it on YouTube because then there's going to be ad interruption. Ain't nobody trying to be interrupted by an ad during a meditation. It's like the worst thing.
Yep.
So if you want to be able to join us on that or on the live shows, then it's patreon.com/metamysteries. So yeah, dude, that was a fun episode and can't wait until next week whenever we go again. I'm sure we're going to get some awesome guests for that one too.
Absolutely.
Or at least it's going to be a great topic either way. It's always so much fun. Yeah, doing the live shows is like the most fun. So, that being said, we're going to get over to it. And if you would leave a review, give us 5 stars, whether you're listening to us on the Cult of Conspiracy podcast or the Meta Mysteries podcast, it really helps the algorithm in that way, get pushed out to more people. If you want to help initiate your cousin, your friend, your coworker, your mom, even, let's bring her in, bring her into the conversation. Let's get weird, dude. I think we're gonna get over the meditation now. And so with that being said, if Optimistic Banks came here and he taught you anything, it's that you don't know what you don't know. So don't just get weird.
Stay weird.
Open doors inside your mind. Leave the ordinary far behind. Colors swirl and stars align.
That seems like that is what you would hear if you were just able to all of a sudden be able to observe the mystery. You know what I mean? I feel like that's what I'm gonna start calling it. You know, that unknown, that thing that it seems like we're always searching for but can never find because it's always just out of reach, you know?
Oh, dude, it's the Tao. You know, the Tao that can be named is not the Tao.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it, whenever you are looking into something you don't quite understand, it seems to be mysterious, and then you finally land on something that seems to really kind of hold water, and it really makes sense, and at least it's something that you can accept as your chosen subjective reality at that point. It's no longer part of the mystery because now you understand it. At least to your experience, right?
Yeah, yeah. It's you know what's funny is that in that meditation, I was like, it sometimes it takes me a little bit longer. Sometimes I can get there really quick. At first, I actually thought that I was in meditation like almost immediately, right? But then
Mhm.
after a while, it was like another, almost like a literal. It felt like a literal wave washed over me,
Uh-huh.
and felt like I got pushed even deeper into it.
Oh, right.
And then I just started to, for some reason I always think about like the Garden of Eden. I have no idea why, right? But ever since Super Marky brought up the archons and the demiurge and shit like that, I've
Mhm.
just been so immersed in that whole world and trying to understand
Yeah.
the that whole story.
Mhm.
And if you remember the demiurge, whenever he was like, "I am God," and then there was another voice that whispered over him and basically just said, "No, you're not," or something like
Right.
that, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
And it made me think like, the people that go deep into meditation, they think that their thought and their voice in their head would be like the God, right?
Mm.
And then I could imagine that like somebody getting a little cocky that way and
Mhm.
saying, "Oh, well, this place, this treehouse place that I get to, this has to be the voice of God." And then there's like another subtle little voice that says, "But there's still something more over you," in that sense.
Right. Yep.
And that's kind of how I look at it. Like that's,
Mhm.
I don't know, that's what was going on in my mind in that point. I thought it was pretty interesting. And that's how I feel about like a lot of this spiritual stuff, is that even when you think you know that you're absolutely right, there's still something extra that is there that's saying there's more and you
Well, what
don't have it
about
all figured out
this?
yet.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's going to be an ongoing struggle, if we are in this reality of duality, there's always going to be the tugging, like Optimistic was speaking on, as far as, the push and pull back and forth type of thing, and I don't know, man. I find it very interesting. The thing that I've been really looking into, or just really pondering, is how people, um, why is it that we tend to believe or suspect, rather, that there's something above us at all. Like I just get amazed at the fact that, just on a physical aspect, that atoms and things were put together in such a way from the universe, being what it is, and now here we are contemplating it.
Yeah.
Like the universe contemplating back to itself. Like that right there just trips me out.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. It's just like Banks said, and the whole idea around Platonism in general is just contemplation and just
Mhm.
contemplating on the next higher up level of
Yeah,
is that where I came from, and
right.
if I'm everything, then why is there's this extra shit? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah,
And
it's funny you say that the next level, because in that meditation, I actually felt like this weird, like, sensation of like, "Kudu," almost like I just went up like a flight of steps or something like that. It was super strange.
But it just reminds me of like, even the, let's say that there is a creator, for that whole conversation. And I'm
Mhm,
not 100% sure. Maybe there's a creator. Maybe everything always existed all the time and there never was a beginning. I can honestly accept both.
mhm,
But either way, like, let's say that there was one thing at the very beginning, right?
mhm,
And call it the Big Bang, and it was the tiny atom that had so much energy that it just had to explode, whatever, right?
mhm,
If that's what it was, then you could imagine that, like, if for a lack of a better term, we'll call it, I don't even want to say that. Let's just call it the source, right? And the source was trying to figure out where the hell it came from, what its purpose is, trying to identify even what it is. It doesn't even know what the fuck it is, right? And so it explodes out into everything to try and really understand itself a little bit more from all these billions and trillions of different perspectives and everything. And just everybody is always staring in amazement about why am I here and what am I doing? And obviously that would be the same questions that even the source would have, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
I was contemplating also, like thinking about if there is an infinite amount of versions of myself, then definitely there's a version of myself that is super hardcore religious, and then I was trying to get into that mind, and understanding like, oh, well, then this is how I would think. And of course, I would try to get other people to believe what I believe because it's true, and then I start to think about objective truth and subjective truth and maybe there's an objective truth, but we'll never know it because we're always in a subjective, you know what I'm saying? Understanding of things.
Yeah, well, and that's the beauty around a lot of the different things that we talk about, because you could look at any one of the things that we talk about and say that's the truth, right? But I mean, I feel like by pointing to what the truth is, you're only discrediting everything else that it could be.
Right. Exactly. Because now it's
And-
no longer the mystery. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah. So,
sure.
And that's the crazy thing is like, they all kind of work. And they're just different ways of being able to look at the unidentifiable.
Right. And that's why I feel like there's no point. Lately I've been seeing a lot of debates, and I think it's just because it's what I've been looking into and just kind of getting into the minds of, people that think or believe something different than myself. And, I don't, there's no point in trying to argue with somebody, at least coming to the understanding that we've come to, as of right now, is that everybody's right. What you believe in is good for you and good for you, and what I believe and what I think it could be, it works for me. And so good for me.
I've come to the understanding that there's a better way to work around that. So, especially, talking with Jacob every day for the cult, it's like, instead of declaring what something is and what something isn't and saying that what you believe is wrong or what you believe is right or whatever, instead, I have found myself just asking more questions to not only out of my own curiosity, but to make other people think a little bit more deeply about their own beliefs. So instead of making a statement, framing it as a question to make them go a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah, then you have a better understanding as well, about what somebody else believes. And I don't know, man, I think that's the way it's supposed to be,
Yeah,
So.
I would say that it's always better to be to be more inquisitive than it is to be firm and trying to say that like what I say is absolutely right. Like nobody likes that kind of person across all aspects. It's like, a Cowboys fan can sit here and say the Cowboys are the greatest NFL team to ever exist. I'm going to disagree with that. Like
Right.
just hand over fist. I'm
All
going to
day.
disagree with that every time.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I mean, there's always ways, but instead of saying no, the Cowboys suck, which they do, but instead of saying that no, they suck, be like, can you point to like why are they the best of all time, and also if they're the best of all time, how come they haven't won a playoff game in my lifetime? I'm just curious, like just frame it in that kind of sense, all right?
And that would be an objective truth, I think everyone can agree on that.
Right. So I think they did win one playoff game in my life. I don't know. Not very many. But anyway, so I was just looking at the calendar and I realized that we do already have a guest for next Wonder Wednesday, and it's gonna be a good one, dude. It's a brand new guest we haven't had on before. Nice. And if you want to go check her out, she's on TikTok. I found her on TikTok. I actually find most of the people on TikTok. Like most of the people we get on here are either on TikTok or Instagram, just because I always got that, like, I'm always searching for the next guest or the next show idea or, trying to find a little bit of influence from all the different reaches. And so this person, her name is Nevermore Aries, and she's a witch. And
nice.
dude, I'm telling you, she knows her shit. You'll be able to ask her anything. like one of those kind of witches. And
Hell yeah.
have we had a witch on the show? Like an actual knowledgeable witch? I'm trying to think.
I don't think
Like
so.
we've had our wizards and our magicians.
Of course. Yeah, of course.
You know, but a witch?
I don't think so.
Dude.
I
this is
think we
gonna
were
be a good one.
supposed to at one point, and I don't know what happened with that. But yeah, I think this will be our first.
Well, dude, go check it out. If you have TikTok, her name is Nevermore Aries, very knowledgeable. And you can just tell she lives that life. You know
Hell
what I
yeah.
mean? Very intentional, very witchy. It's like Halloween every day. You know what I'm saying? So
Love it. Love it.
So yeah, we're gonna do that. Britt said the work van that my father-in-law bought today, it just so happened to have 33,333 miles on it.
Oh, nice. Dang. That's a
That's pretty
strong
neat.
van.
That is a strong van.
And my car actually just went over 200,000. And just the other day, I took a picture of it, and it was 200,555.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah. Hey, dude, if you can get 200,000 miles on your car, you're doing something good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, dude.
So, all right, well, I guess we'll wrap it up right there, and we have some amazing shows coming up in the future. As I said, that we have, the Nevermore Aries, actually is it the next episode? One of the next episodes that we're going to have, I don't think it's the next one, but we're also getting Todd Cave back on the show here soon. We have Nevermore Aries, and then not this. So the next one is the witch, but the one after that is going to be the guy that gets his crew together, goes out and meditates in the desert and believes that he's talking to the tall whites. He's going to be coming on for the live show. So I'm just trying to get like a bunch of awesome individuals to come on and, kind of shed the different perspectives. The last thing we want to do is just turn this into some kind of echo chamber, which I believe that it's important to grasp all of them. You know, we've had, Christians on the show. We've had Muslims on the show. We've had magicians and wizards and, like all over the place. It's and occultists and, spiritual people like Optimistic and just trying to find whatever that underlying film of everything is in that sense.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm excited for things to come, man. And that guess about the aliens, dude. I don't know what it is, man, but I've been getting back into that mindset. I don't know if that's everybody or what, but yeah, it's definitely coming back around.
It has to be. Yeah. So all right, everybody, we will see y'all next Wednesday, and we love you, and we'll see you on the flip side.
Bye, guys.
Voices drift on winds untamed, words like spells that can't be named. Close your eyes.